As a woman, you should basically be a walking, talking, well, probably preferably not talking too much, like just a walking glutes and thighs. That's what we want, really, as men. And like you're working out for us anyway, so you should probably listen to what we want. What's up, guys? In this video, I'm going to talk about 5 reasons beginners should be nervous at the gym. Now, I talk to a lot of people who are just kind of starting their fitness journey and they're nervous to go to the gym. A lot of people avoid the gym. They don't like going to the gym because it makes them nervous to go there. And I totally understand. The gym is a very scary place, especially if you are a newbie. It is really scary. It is actually terrifying. And in this little presentation here, I'm going to tell you exactly why. And for those of you who are like new to the gym and you want to start going, I highly recommend you watch this video to the end, because at the end, I'm going to give you a list of things that you can do to actually counter or to prepare for, some of the bad things that will happen to you when you start going to the gym. Okay, so the first one, when you go to the gym as a beginner, everybody is definitely paying attention to everything that you do. As somebody who has a lot of experience in the gym, I can tell you, anytime a new person walks into the gym, I stop whatever I'm doing. Doesn't matter. I'm in the middle of a set. I'm like about to finish my workout. I'm like really into what I'm doing. As soon as somebody new walks into the gym, I'll stop everything I'm doing and I'll just stare directly at them. And I won't stop staring at them until I establish dominance over them. And I make it very clear to them that I'm watching everything that they're doing. And I'm going to make a mental note and probably even say something if I see them do anything that's not 100% correct as defined by me. And yeah, that brings me to a pretty good point, which is that it's not just me who is judging a beginner when they walk into the gym. It's everybody. Everybody who has a certain amount of experience. When we see a new person come into the gym, we're going to stop whatever we're doing and we're going to stare at them and look at them and secretly judge them. And not only that, when they leave, when you leave as a beginner, we are going to get together and probably have a good laugh about how pathetic you are. Like, oh my God, did you see he did this exercise wrong? His knees buckled in, his form was all over the place, he was wobbling the weight, he was swinging it around. Because every time we work out, we obviously do everything perfectly every single time. And not only that, we all started working out correctly the first time. None of us had ever made a mistake in the gym ever, and definitely not in front of anybody else. Like, that has never happened ever in all of the thousands of times that we've been to the gym. And not only that, we're very unimpressed by the amount of weight that you're lifting, right? Like, if you're on a machine and you're not lifting at least half of the weight stack on every single set, at least 10 reps with half the stack, we're basically, it's very embarrassing, and we almost feel bad for you that you're publicly embarrassing yourself like this in front of us. Brings me to my next point, which is that fit people love to embarrass beginners at the gym. Like, we love to haze new people anytime they go. Like, you think hazing used to be bad with fraternities and sororities? New people who go to the gym, we haze them hardcore, right? So one of the things that we'll do, I enjoy doing this. I feel like I'm allowed to do this because I have so much experience in the gym. One of the things we like to do is we like to pretend to spot you. Like, maybe sometimes we'll even offer to spot you on the bench press or something. And we'll intentionally load up more weight than we know you can handle. And we'll help you get the bar off. And then once you try to do that first rep, we'll just walk away. And then the bar will crush you and you'll have to peel the weights off, and maybe you can get them off, maybe not. And it's really funny. Like, what I'll do is I'll go over to some of my friends who are also there, and we'll just we'll pull out our phones and we'll film you and we'll laugh at you. It's pretty fun. Another thing we like to do is take creep shots of you in the locker room to laugh about you. Men and women do this. Basically, when you're changing in the locker room, we'll take pictures of you and sometimes videos that show off how out of shape your body is. And then we'll post those on social media. And, we have special groups where we laugh at people. It's pretty fun. Another thing we like to do is we like to steal your machine or your weights without asking. So if you're on, the pec deck, for example, and you're doing, flies or something like that, we'll just walk over to you and just straight up punk you and be like, hey bro, like why don't you get off that machine? I want to do a set. Why don't you go over, why don't you do the leg extension machine over there? Like, why don't you do some cardio? And we'll just totally clown you. Because we can smell the weakness. We know when you're nervous, and it's fun for us to go over and just like punk beginners. Another thing we like to do is to accidentally drop weights on you, right? So like, you don't want to do these with weights that are too heavy, because like we don't actually want to injure you, because then you won't come back, right? We like, if we just injure you a little bit, or if it's like annoying, then it's easier for us to like establish our dominance. We don't have to deal with any legal issues, right? Because like, lawyers don't understand that kind of thing. Police don't understand it. But for us to drop, a 10-pound weight on your head as we're walking by and you're trying to do an exercise, that's pretty fun. And we think it's really funny also to do it. Another thing we like to do is when we're doing a set, we'll just throw the weights on the ground. And then we'll make beginners go over and put our weights back in the correct spot. Again, it's just like, it's a total dominance move, but as a beginner, we know that you're nervous. So we know that we can get away with it, basically. Another thing we like to do is that every time we see you doing something wrong at the gym, we go over to the front desk people and we tell them exactly what it is that you did. And they will announce on the loudspeaker that you made a mistake. And they'll say like, oh, the guy in the red shirt and the blue shorts, like he tried to do a squat, but he was bending too much at the waist. Like, everybody look at him and laugh at him. They'll say it a little bit more cleverly, right? They've got their whole little thing that they do, but that's pretty much what they do. So like, everybody in the gym is going to be staring at you after that and judging you. And then another thing we like to do is to make fun of how you look in your gym outfit. So if you're really fat, that's an easy one, of course. Like, we love making fun of really fat people because none of us as like veteran gym goers were ever fat or overweight. Like, never. It's actually, I don't think it's ever happened in the history of people who've been going to the gym. But we love to make fun of, fat people who are trying to improve themselves. It's a complete joke to us. We think it's ridiculous. And if you're really skinny, or if you have like a weird body or like weird posture, like we'll make fun of that too. You have to pay the DYEL tax. DYEL stands for Do You Even Lift? So like new people, when they get to the gym, I would say it takes you about 6 months to a year to get out of the DYEL phase. And all new gym beginners, all gym newbies have to pay the DYEL tax, right? This is something that is never talked about in the media, never talked about on YouTube, never talked about on social media, because it's one of these like taboo areas of fitness that is just like, people don't like to talk about it. It's like one of those things that's always been around, but nobody wants to talk about. So like, if you're a DYEL, you always have to carry a bag of supplements on you at all times, right? You have to carry various things. You have to carry like fat burners, you have to carry creatine, you have to carry protein bars, and you have to have them in a bag on you at all times. So that if any of us gym veterans want a supplement, we can just boom, we see the DYEL, we just go over there. And we just ask them, we're like, hey, like, give me a protein bar right now. And you're not allowed to talk to us. You're not allowed to say anything. You just have to pull it out of your bag and give it to us. So there's some gyms that'll make you say like, yes or no, sir. Some gyms will make you call the person by their first and last name also. And you have to remember everybody's first and last name. If you don't, the person who asked for whatever they asked you for has the right to tell you to drop down and do 50 burpees. So something to pay attention to. All of the DYELs must bring a 6-pack of energy drinks. They have to be ice cold and they have to stay ice cold. So you either have to put them in the freezer. If there's no freezer, you have to bring a freezer with you, like a cooler box, and you have to put ice in it, and you have to bring it with you to the gym. So that if anybody wants an energy drink, like a Bang or a Monster or something like that, you have to bring it with you. The DYEL must do veterans' dirty laundry, including a squat plug. So like, if there are still some veterans that use a squat plug, it's not common, but it does, it's not uncommon, I guess, for like people when they're squatting to use a squat plug. And the DYELs must do the dirty laundry and bring it back the next day. It has to be folded. They have to use fabric softener. It has to be like perfect. And they have to do it for free. DYEL must give up the squat rack at any time, right? So, and it's not just the squat rack. It's mainly the squat rack, because that's normally there's only like one or two in the gym. And if there's somebody who's weak and obviously a beginner in there, they're kind of just like taking up space there for no reason. Where, somebody who's more fit and is in better shape could be getting a lot more use out of that. Maybe they want to do bicep curls, maybe they want to do overhead press, maybe they even want to do like squats. And so it's their right to kick them out if they actually want to be there. And then also squat plug, mandatory for DYLs when they're doing squats. Absolutely mandatory, 100%. The last thing that anybody wants to see is a fucking gym beginner, man or woman, shit themselves all over the squat platform because they weren't using a squat plug. Nobody wants to see that. It's absolutely mandatory until you train the glutes to be tight on the way down. You have to use the squat plug. It's absolutely necessary. All right, let's talk about the rules for the manlets. Now, what is a manlet? Is basically somebody who is shorter than a certain height. Right, now this is for men. This is not for women. Women are exempt from this rule. We'll get to the rules for women on the next slide. The manlet cutoff is 5'8" to 6 feet. Right, it depends on the gym, depends on the region. Right, some regions they have like taller population, they have higher standards. It's more like upscale gym, and the cutoff is lower or higher. Right, so like the cutoff is 5'8". Now, interestingly enough, anybody under 5'10", you have to have your shoes checked for lifts when you sign up, because one of the biggest crimes in the gym is being short. And if you're under a certain height, then certain rules are going to apply to you, and any attempt to skirt those rules by wearing lifts in your shoes, that's a big no-no in the gym. So it's something that you should definitely pay attention to if you're short. So manlets must stay in the designated manlet area, right? We call it the manlet pit. Technically, it's not actually a pit. The whole joke about the manlet pit kind of came about because if they're a certain height, then they wouldn't be able to get out of the pit unless they climbed onto each other. But it's not actually a pit. It's usually just a roped off area where you have to basically stay in that area if you're a certain height. There is a squat rack there, but they do have most things over there, but not everything, which is reserved for normal height people. Manlets are also not allowed to use normal size dumbbell. This is what happens when a manlet uses a normal size dumbbell. This is an actual manlet right here, right? You think this is it looks like a normal sized person with a big barbell, but that's actually not the case. This guy's actually 5'8", I think, this guy. And this is a normal sized barbell. And this is what it actually looks like, right? In the gym, it looks bigger just because the mirrors, the way the mirrors are set up in the gym, everything looks a little bit bigger. But when you take a photo, this is what it actually looks like. So they're not allowed to use the normal size dumbbells. They have special manlet dumbbells for the manlets that they have to use. If they don't use it, it's grounds for termination. The final, and I would say most important rule for manlets is that if they lift more or are more muscular than normal size people, they have to say, but I'm a manlet, after every single set, right? So one of the things that you'll see, this guy, he looks like he's got big muscles, right? But because he's only 5'8", all of that muscle mass is condensed on a much smaller frame. So that's the thing about short people, right? Is that it looks like they have a lot more muscle than they actually do because they're so small and all that muscle is condensed, right? And another thing is that because they're so short, if you look at what's his name, Jeff Nippard or Alpha Destiny, I think they're 5'1", I think, or I think one of them is 5'2", one of them is 5'1". So they look really strong, right? But when they do the bench press, one thing you don't understand is for me, I'm 6'1", right? So for me to bring the bar down here or down to my chest to up here, that's almost what is that? That's 2 feet almost that I have to move the bar because they're so much smaller, right? Their joints are so much smaller. Their arms are probably up to here on me, maybe here. I don't know. I've never actually seen them. They have to move the bar, only a couple inches. So in order to compensate, in order for them to kind of understand where they are in the hierarchy, for them not to get a big idea that they're stronger or more muscular, they have to say, but I'm a manlet after every single set that they do, right? So they pump out a big set and they just have to get up and say, I'm a manlet, or I'm only 5'1", or I'm only 5'6", So it's just one of the rules that's kind of developed over the years. Some people don't like it, but it's just one of those things that's kind of stuck. It's like tradition. Let's talk about the rules for women. So if you're a woman and you want to go to the gym, that's totally fine. I'm a feminist also. I 100% believe in women's right to improve their body so that they can look better for men. I'll fight for that right, to the death if I have to, because that's just what I believe. It's one of my core beliefs. Now, in order to do that, a lot of the times one of the mistakes that women make is they think that they need to work their entire body, right? Now there are some exceptions to this, but for most women, that's not going to be the case. For most women, you only want to do 3 exercises, right? You want to do the hip thrust, you want to do crunches, and you want to do hip abductions, which is like, you guys have seen the machine where you're sitting down, right? Let's say these are your legs, and you just like spread your legs like this, right? It's a very important exercise for women to do because it works the side glutes, or what's it called, ventral glutes, I think. And then the hip thrust works the rear glutes. Are they called rear glutes? I'm not really sure. And then women are definitely allowed to do crunches because it helps to like add a little bit of definition to the midsection. And if you do them properly with correct breathing, it's like a little mini vacuum, which will help to narrow the waistline in the midsection. So those are the 3 only exercises that they're allowed to do. Some gyms will allow them to do squats. I don't know. Those are like the more progressive gyms in like, Portland and Austin and like some parts of LA where they're a little bit more progressive. They'll allow them to do squats. I think that's fine. I think that's okay. It's not like they're letting them do like bench press and like take up the bench or something like that, which would just be ridiculous. But there's no obese women allowed at the gym, right? So like if you're a woman and you're obese, right? If you have a BMI over 30, then unfortunately you're not allowed in most gyms. This is the case for most gyms. Now, there are some gyms, they'll like, I think Curves, they only accept obese women or something like that. Like you have to be obese to work out at Curves. And then if your BMI goes below 30, then you're actually not allowed to be a member there anymore. I'm pretty sure that's the case with Curves. I could be wrong. I know that was the case a couple of years ago. They might have changed it. Now, the one exception to this is if you're a top heavy woman, right? I'm not exactly sure what the cutoff is for cup size, but I think it needs to be a J. I could be wrong about that, but it's very large. If you have a BMI of 30, you need to have at least a J cup in order to be allowed to join the gym. Now, you have some other options, right? If you want to lose weight so that you can actually work out at the gym, I recommend not eating. That's a very effective way to lose weight, right? Not eating. Watch my other video on beginner mistakes for losing weight. Smoking meth is also really good. Smoking cigarettes, amazing for weight loss. It's a great appetite suppressant. I've got a lot of tips in that video. You can watch that if you want. But what's the reason we don't want to see obese people at the gym? It's like we go to the gym so we won't be obese, So like we don't want to see obese people at the gym. Nobody wants to see it, right? The DYLs don't want to see it. The men don't want to see it. The women don't want to see it. That's like our safe space where we don't have to see obese people, especially if you live in the United States. There's fucking obese people everywhere. We don't want to see that shit. We don't even want to see it anywhere. Definitely don't want to see it at the gym, all right? It's our safe space. Also for women, like if you're not going to do any of these 3 exercises, you're pretty much only allowed to do cardio. So cardio is heavily encouraged for women in order to maintain a healthy BMI of way lower than 30. I'm not actually sure I just know 30 is obese for women. I don't know what the healthy one is. Like we definitely don't want you to look like a skeleton. We want you to be thin, have very little muscle mass on your upper body, if at all, maybe a little bit on your abs. And then we want the bulk of your muscle to be, the glutes, the legs, thighs, really just the glutes and thighs, glutes and thighs, glutes, thighs. As a woman, you should basically be a walking, talking, preferably not talking too much, like just a walking glutes and thighs. That's what we want really as men. And like you're working out for us anyway. So you should probably listen to what we want. Now, the one exception to this is Varbies and waifus, right? Now, what is a Varby? A Varby stands for, it's a cross between the word Anavar and Barbie, right? It's basically like an attractive girl who is very fit and takes Anavar. Like this is a good example of a Varby or a waifu, right? Like what is a waifu? So everybody, you guys know what whey protein is, right? You guys have heard of whey protein. It's a play on words. These are actually both play on words. So Varby is Barbie and Anavar, and then waifu is like whey protein and waifu, right? Which is a Japanese term that means it's like it means wife, right? But it's colloquially used. It's kind of strange, but there's a bunch of like anime fans who will pretend to be married to cartoon characters, Chinese cartoon characters. It's pretty crazy. They'll pretend to be married to these Chinese cartoons and they'll call them my waifu, right? That's like their waifu. So this is a play on words. This is a waifu, right? So anyway, it's basically the same thing is my point. There's no real difference, just semantics. But Varbies and waifus are allowed a wider variety of training, right? Because as for normal girls, we don't want you to be anything other really than like ass and thighs and whatever, bust you happen to be blessed with or not blessed with, like, that's okay too. But Varbies and waifus, we, in that case, because the form, I was going to say it more resembles a male form, which like some people will say that's kind of gay, but you just have to be able to appreciate it in terms of, muscular development, I guess you could call it. Where if you're a true fitness connoisseur and a veteran, you appreciate the development of a human body. Now, the good thing about these girls is that they're allowed a wider variety of training, right? So they can work all the body parts. They can basically do anything that men do, but they're not allowed to get too big. Once you get too big, you start to get into the freakish female bodybuilder, manly face kind of thing. And that's nobody really likes that. If you want to do that, I get you shouldn't want to do that. Really, it's not good. You should try to still maintain your femininity, right? But you should just have really nice muscles also. And that's pretty hard to do unless you are doing Anavar. So brings me to my next point. You're going to want to get on one of these. In some gyms, it's complimentary, where they'll give out 90-day Anavar cycles to women who are interested in becoming a Varby or a waifu. But there is a little bit of like contractual obligation there involved where like you have to follow certain workout programs. Because what happened in the past is that like a lot of these gym bros, as a way to get Anavar, they would talk these girls into claiming to the gym that they wanted to be Varbies. They would get the free Anavar and then they would just give it to the guys or sell it to the guys and then just claim that it didn't work or it was bunk. Anyway, it caused all this problem. But in most gyms these days, except Planet Fitness, I think most other gyms you can do this. You can go into the front desk or even when you sign up for your membership and you can ask for a 90-day Anavar cycle and most gyms will just give it to you for free. Fun stuff. So here's the bottom line. Nobody likes newbies in the gym. We don't like them. You don't belong there. We don't want you there. Like, you're lucky that we allowed you to join the gym. It maybe sounds harsh, but that's just the truth. So like the truth hurts, gyms are only for fit people. We do not want unfit people in the gym because like I said before, we were all born 100% super fit and in really good shape. So like for us to go to the gym, I mean, it's really for us to just kind of be around other people who are fit and in shape. And we don't want to have your unfitness like rub off on us. I don't even know if that's possible, but like maybe it is. So we don't want you there. Nobody at gyms likes when people try to improve themselves. That's a myth, actually. That's a myth by fitness influencers who are trying to sell you programs. They'll pretend to be like all motivating, but secretly they talk a lot of shit about out of shape people. Like it's pretty much a fact. So, you can try to improve yourself if you want. 99% of diets fail. Most people don't actually succeed in improving themselves. So like you should probably just quit. But you know, it's a free country, so do what you want. That said, none of us actually want you in the gym. Probably be better if you stayed home and just watched TV and continued to like consume, you know, processed food and eat fast food and watch Netflix and just like waste away and gain a lot of weight. So yeah, and then finally, we are definitely going to make you active or actively try to make you as uncomfortable as possible. So that's something to keep in mind. I know a lot of people are nervous about going to the gym. You should definitely be nervous because we don't want you there and we're going to make it really hard for you to go there every single time. So stay away. What do you guys think about that? Let me know. Leave me a comment. Peace.